have your attention? All right, so first I want to say welcome to Inspiring Yale. Thank you all for coming. I am Etienne Greenlee. I am a fourth-year PhD student in MCDB or biology. I am the Public Relations Chair of the Graduate Professional Student Senate that's hosting this, and I'm also the chair of the Inspiring Yale Planning Committee. But more importantly, I'm your host for the evening. As chair, I had a very privileged view into seeing the great inspiration and extent to which students at Yale are affected by their professors, and also seeing the great breadth of amazing work happening on campus. This year there were over 150 faculty members who were nominated, and getting to read every student's description and reason why was truly inspirational. There's also a huge turnout of voting this year by students, just to show the great extent, the clarity that graduate and professional students are truly impacted by their faculty. Several of the nominees are here in addition to the speakers tonight, supporting their students in school. So I believe that graduate and professional students are at a point in their life where they're gearing up to enter the workforce and figuring out how they will achieve their dreams. With the current political climate, it's obvious that many of us are worried. And it's my hope that this event will showcase the amazing work around us and inspire the community to persevere and achieve their goals. The hope is that by bringing all 13 schools together, we can instill and create new collaborations that will span the schools, that we can take advantage of the connections that we meet here and during our time at Yale, and use those resources to be confident as we ultimately go out and change the world. Without further ado, I would like to present Professor Jean Coe Peters. She is the sole Goldman Clinical Professor of Law, and her work with students representing children and refugees inspires her every day to seek ways to combat our own biases in our professional work and to talk about the difficult issues of our day, including race, ideological divides, poverty, and bias. And focusing on facts and the client's true meaning can fuel habitats of parallel universe thinking and examining our mistakes, which will aid both our own professional self-improvement and our ability to convene conversations about the unsolved of our time. Without further ado, Professor Peters.
When I was growing up, I thought that lawyers made swift, sure, error-free judgments. But then I started practicing law. And 3.5 decades later of practice, mostly with my Yale law students representing children and refugees, I've concluded and I learned and I now teach that excellent client service depends on slow thinking, non-judgment, embracing ambiguity, and mistake. This is critical to protecting and defending the dignity, voices, and stories of our clients. What sociologists might call isomorphic attribution, the client's lived, subjective, felt experience described as they would endorse it as their story. So today I'd like to teach you 2 of the 5 habits of cross-cultural lawyering that I've developed with my colleague Sue Bryant at the CUNY School of Law, parallel universe thinking and the camel's back. We developed these originally, and they're taught in law schools around the country now, first to teach professionals how to create daily practices that will bring them steadily closer towards surfacing and combating their assumptions, and fighting their own biases so they do not appear in their practice. But we've also found this critical to our current research, which is about talking about race. How can lawyers convene, revive, and continue productive and constructive conversations about race? So first, parallel universe thinking. Parallel universe thinking requires us to brainstorm alternative explanations for facts, even when we think for sure we know exactly, quickly, what those facts mean. So right now I see several of you looking at me. You're smiling, you're nodding, and giving me eye contact. And so of course my swift Sure judgment is that you're interested in my topic, you love what I'm saying, you're absorbing 100% of what I'm doing. And it's no accident that my swift, sure judgment is 100% self-serving and exactly what I would like to be thinking. Now, parallel universe thinking will slow me down for a minute. If I think for even a second about what an alternative explanation for smiling and nodding and looking me in the eye might be, I realize that an equally plausible explanation is that you are outstanding students who know how to feign attention. You spend all day doing this, right? And so you have figured out how to make me feel like that, right? So an alternative explanation is 180 degrees against my first instinct. Okay, and then if I think even just a bit longer, I think about eye contact. Eye contact. I have another culture, Korean culture. No Korean student would be caught dead looking straight in the eye of their teacher. In this culture, it's respect and attention. In that culture, it's rebellion and defiance. Okay, so my swift judgments do not stand up under scrutiny very well. And if I'm seeking the isomorphic attribution of the people who are looking at me, their real judgments, I'm going to need to wait a little longer and get a little bit more information and ask a few more questions. My favorite isomorphic attribution, by the way, I asked a student, and they told me later, right before you started talking, I spilled coffee all over my shirt, and I was hoping that if I held your eye, you would never see the blot all over. So parallel universe thinking exemplifies the dynamic of the habits, non-judgment, preferring facts over conclusion, delaying interpretation, exploring data to fight prejudice. Non-judgment is best illustrated by by Rumi, the Sufi mystic poet, who wrote, "Out beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll meet you there." Parallel universe thinking and non-judgment take place in that field. And so too does the other habit I'd like to teach you, the camel's back. When we make a mistake, there's a straw that breaks the camel's back. Professional mistakes, like car accidents, don't come from one problem. We don't wake up in the morning saying, I think I'm going to grotesquely offend my client today. I think I'm going to make a huge error of law today. What we say is, but what we do is we pile straws on our back. We don't get enough sleep. We don't prepare enough. We don't leave enough time. We don't have the right people with us. We don't have the right resources with us. And then we snap. Now, I think about this. Right now I'm mulling over a mistake that I've made now with students and clients. Very embarrassing mistake. Gratuitously complimenting non-Caucasian students or clients on their command of English. Now, this is particularly egregious because I chafed at this exact compliment as a grad student and as a young lawyer. It was very confusing to me because English is the only language in which I am fluent. So getting this compliment was actually a bit of a problem. And now I'm doing it. And so, of course, my first instinct is shame. Pretend you didn't say it. Change the subject. Run from the room. But actually, what we need to do is explore, straw by straw, the circumstances we created where we could make a mistake so big that we could forget what it was like to be the recipient of that mistake. Straw by straw, the breakfast missed, the extra cup of coffee, the missed cup of coffee, the lack of preparation that we're trying to mask with weird small talk, which has turned suddenly into insult. Now, examining the straw that breaks the camel's back allows you to remove them, and it gives you a proactive strategy. It's very helpful. If you can figure out what usually makes you make a mistake and not do that when it matters, you can prevent the final straw from breaking your cross-cultural back. So it's ultimately a hopeful habit, and it's a grace-filled habit. Because if I can have the grace of non-judgment about myself to understand for my next client, making it less likely that I will do this to my next client, might I also in the process gain the insight to realize why well-meaning people in my past accidentally hurt my feelings when they had no intention of doing so. And if that grace could fill our conversations about race, if we could fall back from those terrifying moments that break out in our classrooms or in our legal practice, where someone said something that if they had thought for a few more seconds they might not have said, could we use the grace of the camel's back to remember when we have done that, to pull back and say, let's try this again. So parallel universe thinking and the camel's back are two sides of the same coin. One prevents mistake by stopping you from prematurely reaching interpretations of fact that may be premature, that you don't have enough information to make. And the camel's back, when you do make that mistake, gives you a grace-filled way of examining the straws that broke your back so that you will never place them there again. These have been critical to my practice. I hope these habits may be helpful in your professional lives as well. Thank you very much.